guys, thanks for tuning in for another Comics Weekly wrap-up where I share with you the comics/trades I've read for the week. The first book that I read for this week is Alex+Ada Volume 2. I really did not anticipate reading this quite so soon. I thought it would be another week before I read the second part. It was literally just last week that I read part 1. And it picks up right up from the end of the last book. And yet again, it's the same team. Jonathan Luna is writing it. Sarah Vaughn drew it. And I really am not impressed with Sarah Vaughn's artwork. It's almost comical at times. There's one scene, like, there's a love scene in the back. And God, it looks so horrible. It's terrible. The looks on their faces it's humorous. Like, I kind of chuckled a little when I saw it because I was like, wow, that's so bad. But yeah, but it is a great written story, so I'm not going to knock this book just because the artwork is bad. But anyways, it goes into a little more depth. People in the community, they're kind of afraid of artificial intelligence because of the different, like, sentient robots have, like, there was one that went on a murder spree, and I forgot what it was called, but it was some event, and everybody quotes it. They're like, well, this happened at this time, and we should be scared of our androids because they may kill us. And I guess it's not everyone that owns an android. It's just a very rare few. For one, they're kind of expensive, and just people are kind of, against them, too. Well, anyways, it kind of, she's adapting. Most of it is her adapting to being sentient and discovering what she likes and dislikes. So that part's kind of lame. It's kind of slow and boring, but it does pick up when, the events, the government announcing that they're going to crack down on sentient androids and their owners, and it really brings to mind, like, the qualities we want in a life partner. And you really want somebody who's going to have their own likes and dislikes. You don't want somebody who's just going to be obedient. And that's kind of true, because there are people who are real people who are just boring and have no likes and dislikes. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they would mention that in this story. So it was kind of interesting, and yes, I did say the artwork is horrible, but I still thought that this was a 4 out of 5 star story. It is one, like, of course, the climax, it really ends towards the end of the volume, and, like, it's really slow up until, like, near the end, but the ending of the volume really makes up for the slow parts, so it is worth picking up. If you have not read this yet, believe the hype. It is a good story, so feel free to check this one out. I know it is very, very trendy on BookTube, and I think it's kind of trendy in the comic books community too. So if you have not read this and you're looking for a science fiction kind of like Asimov, I Am Robot, or even a romance type story, it's kind of a slow romance, and there was some awkward moments in the romance story, but it's good. It's worth reading. Next up we have Amazing Spider-Man Edge of the SpiderVerse. And yes, it does have Spider-Gwen on the cover, but I don't want people to be misled in thinking that this whole volume is just about Spider-Gwen, because it's not. It's called the Edge of the SpiderVerse for a reason, because it features different Spider-Men throughout the multiverse. Of course, it's got Spider-Man Noir on the back, and there's a lot of people who have ever heard of Spider-Man Noir, but he did have his own little short-run series that you can pick up in trade format. Well, anyways, it starts out by telling about Spider-Man Noir and how he runs into the other Spider-Men who are trying to save the Spider-Man in the multiverse from Morlun. And of course, there's Spider-Gwen. She's in a band called the Mary Janes or something like that, and that's kind of a cool concept. I think if Spider-Gwen had her own book, I would totally read that, because she lives in a world where Peter Parker dies instead of Gwen Stacy. So, and she's the one who's Spider-Man. I thought that was pretty darn cool. They also featured another Spider-Man, and it's like, what if a serial killer had gotten the Spider-Man powers? You know, what would he be, a villain or a hero? And I thought that was a really cool concept too. And then there's like one who's this guy who's like a scientist who creates a robot suit, and he technically doesn't have like superhuman abilities. It's all a suit. And it's like this world, it's like Japan world or something. And there's another one that's like that, a little girl who rides in a suit and her code name is Spider. So I thought this was very enjoyable. The artwork was interesting too. And I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. If you have not checked out the SpiderVerse storyline, you should definitely be checking this out. If you like Spider-Man, or if you like alternate versions of things, I think you'll really enjoy this. I know I did. Okay, up next we have Demo. This is written by Brian Wood and drawn by Becky Cloonan. And this is from that other independent comic book company called Alt Planet Lar. They were the ones who did that Smoke and Guns book that I reviewed last week. Well, anyways, this is not the first time I've ever read a Demo book. I did read Demo Volume 2, which was in a different format than this one. It was a lot thinner than this one, and it was kind of longer. You know, height and width of it was different. But it was drawn the same. It was black and white. And one of the interesting things about Demo is it is about a bunch of teenagers or young adults with powers. Like, I guess you could say they're not really mutants. It's kind of weird. They're just people who have different abilities and how they're coping with these abilities, and it's kind of interesting if you want to check it out. I'm not saying it's a spectacular book. It wasn't horrible, but it was just okay, and it's a 3 out of 5 star book. That's what I rated it anyways. So if you're kind of interested to, you know, find out a little, it's just little short stories about different people. Show you a couple more pages. So yeah, that was that. After that, I picked up The Crow Dead Time, and this was a Goodreads recommendation because I had read the original Crow by the same author, James O'Barr. And if you're not familiar with The Crow, what The Crow is it The Crow embodies like the soul of a person who was wronged, and they're brought back to life to basically come back and like right the wrongs that were done to innocent people. And this one involves a Native American who during the Civil War was killed, and then his killers are reincarnated, which is kind of different from the usual Crow stories, and he gets the opportunity to send them to hell, per se. So yeah, and this one of course is all in black and white too. This one was okay. I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars too. I was really looking forward to reading this too because I really enjoyed The Crow, and I kind of wish I had done a review of that book, but I never did do a review of it. So that was that one. Okay, next up I've got 2 books to share with you. The first one is The Flash History Lessons, and I do believe that this, yes, it is volume 5, and this is the New 52 Flash. As I've said many times before, a lot of these New 52s just really, they just don't seem as good as like their first volumes, or maybe the first few volumes really suck and then it gets better. Well, with Flash Volume 5, it's just kind of really mediocre. This one features a team-up with the Green Lantern in the beginning, And it's like a team up out of nowhere because it doesn't even, like, Volume 4 didn't, like, end into this one. So I don't even know what is going on at the start of this. So it's just kind of a bunch of random stories, and one of them is a serial killer that's a ghost, and he's out for revenge, and the Flash has to try to take him down with the help of Deadman. So it does have a couple of cameos from other DC New 52 heroes. But, like I said, it was just okay. I only rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. It could have been much better, but it is what it is. Wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. It was just okay. So if you want to read it, feel free to check that one out. After that, I picked up BPRD. That is the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, and this one is Plague of Frogs. I do not know which volume this is, but I do have to say that this was really good. This one, the whole story revolves around one of those, like, Cthulhu type monsters who was in the Seeds of Destruction from a Hellboy storyline, and it picks up in this book. And of course, this doesn't feature Hellboy, but it features, like, the rest of the Bureau, which is Abe Sapien, the Ectoplasm guy, and the Golem, and the one lady who controls fire. So I thought this was really cool, and of course I love Mike Mignola's artwork. But one of the things that really made this volume great for me was it had the origin story for Abe Sapien. And I've never, like, knew how Abe Sapien came to be. So it was really cool to see his origin story. Just want to show you guys a couple more pages of this before I move on. But yeah, this guy's artwork is amazing. I mean, there's nobody who quite draws or inks like he does with the heavy lines, and it's definitely a distinctive style. So I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Even if the story was good. I thought it was good, and especially, like I said, Abe Sapien's origin made this book for me. Okay, so this is going to be my last book for the weekly wrap-up. And if you guys have watched my In My Mail videos, you know that over the last couple of months, I bought quite a few graphic novels, and I never read them. Plus, I have, like, a box of graphic novels that somebody I worked with gave me. So I've decided to try every week to at least read one of those ones that I own. And I had purchased A+X equals Awesome, and this is volume 1. And this is Avengers teamed up with X-Men. And what it is, more or less, it is a Marvel team-up book, but it has, like, one Avenger and one X-Man. So it's kind of, some of the stories were really great, some were kind of lame, some were just okay, but it was just like Marvel team up where, you know, they do different, like, adventures with one from each team, and I don't know. I just thought this was just okay, and I only rated it 3 out of 5 stars, but it is what it is. Would I read another one of these? I might, but I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to buy them, because I really didn't think it was worth, you know, the money buying this. And I didn't know at the time that I bought this. I kind of, on impulse, I saw the cover, and I was like, oh, it's Avengers and X-Men. I'll probably like that. But yeah, I wouldn't waste money on this, because it's not anything I'd want to own. But that is my weekly wrap-up for the week. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, feel free to subscribe. I know that there's a lot of you who just watch my videos and you're not subscribed, which I don't understand why people are watching my videos and they're not subscribed. So hit subscribe, and that way you'll know every time I upload a new video. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and until next time, later.